Hey everyone, Retro here today. I want to go over a crucial topic for anyone playing the Ice Strike Monk and how to effectively manage your mana. Running out of mana can be frustrating, and without proper management, it can significantly impact your damage and just your overall gameplay experience. My goal is to provide you with a quick and concise guide that gets straight to the point without any unnecessary information. If you guys find this guide a little helpful, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel for more practical and efficient game guides. So let's get right to it. I want to first go over the most expensive option. It really helps with boss fights, and when you accidentally spam a lot of your attacks too much, the Maelstrom Flask really comes in clutch. It's around 10 divines. It feels absolutely amazing to use. You will not run out of mana when fighting a boss unless you poorly time the flasks. I get this might be out of your budget, but if you can afford it, it is very worth it in my opinion. I will also discuss a budget flask later in the video. The next thing I've noticed when people are running out of mana is that they're not utilizing a full physical DPS staff. A lot of people are using like a triple Ellie staff, which has significantly lower fizz on it. And when Ice Strike takes 80% of that fizz and converts it to cold, you're left with like 20%. It's not that much fizz damage on an already low fizz staff. And if you leech mana, you're not going to get that much because the ring leeches the fizz damage. But versus like a full fizz DPS staff, you're going to be dealing more fizz damage overall. So you will definitely leech a lot more mana. Let me know in the comments if that makes sense to you guys. I tried to explain it the best I can, but let's move on. So getting started with one of the most simplest and most effective ways to reduce your mana cost is by utilizing the Inspiration Support Gem. This gem provides a 40% reduction in mana cost, which is incredibly helpful, especially in the early stages of the game. By incorporating this into your setup, you will immediately notice that your skills feel much smoother to use without draining your mana pool too quickly. Another important aspect of management is ensuring that your gear provides an adequate amount of mana. A good baseline to aim for is around 1,000 total mana, although you may find success with slightly less. Personally, I play with around 1,100 mana, and I rarely encounter any issues. Having a larger mana pool allows you to cast more skills before needing to regenerate or rely on flask. One of the biggest challenges in maintaining mana efficiency is dealing with the increased mana cost that comes with higher level skill gems. For example, my Ice Strike gem is at level 22, thanks to an additional 3+ levels for my weapon. This increased level boost to the mana cost by approximately 40%, effectively counteracting the benefits of the Inspiration Support Gem. To mitigate this issue, I recommend avoiding weapon modifiers that increase skill levels and instead focusing on gear that enhances like elemental damage and just other beneficial stats. So when facing bosses, mana sustainability becomes even more critical. To help with this, consider using the Font of Mana Support Gem. This gem provides a 40% boost to mana regeneration when placing your bell, which can be extremely useful during prolonged fights. Additionally, you should carry a mana flask with 30% instant recovery modifier, and if possible, upgrade the flask quality to 20% to maximize its effectiveness. One highly effective way to sustain mana during mapping is through Mana Leech on rings. Ice Strike naturally converts 80% of its cold damage, leaving 20% as physical damage. This small portion of physical damage allows you to benefit from Mana Leech if you have the right stats on your ring. A single ring with this modifier is often enough to completely resolve mana issues while mapping. If you prefer not to rely on Mana Leech from gear, an alternative early game solution is to allocate Siphon on the passive skill tree, which restores 2% mana on kill. As you progress, you can transition away from Siphon by acquiring jewels with mana on kill stat, freeing up those passive points for other enhancements. Another noteworthy passive skill is Deep Trance, which reduces mana cost by 10% while also providing a significant boost to attack speed. Since attack speed is crucial for Ice Strike Monk builds, this passive is highly valuable. Every little bit of mana cost reduction adds up, so don't overlook these types of passives on the skill tree. Certain gear pieces can also further improve your mana efficiency. A belt with mana flask recovery rate is particularly useful when facing bosses, as it ensures that your mana flask restores more resources over time. This is especially effective when paired with an instant recovery modifier on your mana flask. Lastly, I experimented with a unique setup that has proven to be very effective. Since I use like a high evasion and high energy shield body armor, I have enough spirit to utilize an unset ring, which allows me to slot in a mana remnants spirit gem. This gem drops 125 mana on the ground like every 2 seconds, making it feel like I never run out of mana when you combine it with like the inspiration or just mana leech on your ring. This setup ensures virtually endless supply of mana, making it really easy to map and just reduce your reliance on flask. Another additional way to save mana is by utilizing mana on hit. Unlike Mana Leech, which requires a portion of your damage to be converted to fizz damage or just elemental sources, Mana on hit directly restores a flat amount of mana per enemy hit. This makes it particularly effective for just like high attack speed builds like Ice Strike Monk or like Tempest Flurry. By stacking mana on hit from like gear, passive tree nodes, or just specific affixes on rings and gloves, you can drastically reduce your mana issues without like needing to rely on like leech mechanics or flask in general. I hope this guide has given you some helpful ideas to optimize your mana management for your Ice Strike Monk build, whether it's reducing mana cost through like support gems, increasing your total mana pool, leveraging passive tree benefits, or just using unique gear setups. There are multiple ways to solve mana issues effectively. Mana management is one of those elements that can just truly make or just break a build, and having a solid plan in place ensures that you can just focus on dealing damage rather than constantly worrying about resource depletion. Every player has different needs based on their playstyle, so experimenting with different options and finding the best combination for you is key. As you refine your build and your gear, you may discover even more synergies that improve both your damage output and mana efficiency. I'm looking for also video ideas on what you guys want to see. I definitely want to hear from you guys, so please drop a comment on what you would like to see in the next video. I really just want to help anybody out if I can, but if you did find this information useful, please like the video, subscribe for more guides like this. Your support helps me continue creating helpful content for the community. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.